We've been waiting for this, and that is the Stablecoin and the Genius Act going through the Senate. It went through with flying colors. We'll break it down for you. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to the Tech Path. Let's get started today. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that's iTrust Capital. This is where you guys can now go out there and safely invest in a crypto IRA. Now we have some crypto regulations. So get out there. It's iTrust Capital. If you already have an IRA, you can actually convert it over to iTrust Capital. And if you don't have one, well, you can start a new one and of course get a $100 reward just by using our link down below. So check it out. You guys get started on that. Remember, diversification, very important in any of your assets, and IRAs are a big part of that in terms of growing long-term wealth. So let's take a look here of what's going on. If you look at Circle, the stock, remember this just went IPO. What did this grow? I'm on the 4-hour chart, guys. So really, over the last 18 to 24 hours, we've had a 68% growth. Now, I want you to step back from that for a second and just think about that, all right? Typical stock investors do not see 68% growth over a period of 4 days. That is something that's happening right now. This is why we're seeing growth in the market based on the stablecoin passing. And if you look at Robinhood, big candle starting to move there. And then, of course, Coinbase was the one that really got the big move today, almost, what are we up to, 287 off of the 250 mark. So big changes right now. Stocks that are correlated to crypto, specifically to stablecoins. Remember, that is the ones to keep your eye on. All right, so quickly, this was the vote yesterday. Of course, it occurred late in the afternoon. It went a little bit later. I think it ended up around 5:30. And of course, this was the run right there. As you can see, vote numbers 318 right there, 68 to 30. Not voting was 2. Some of the people, though, if you kind of scan down here, this was our nays. And of course, the ones that surprised me was Hawley and Schumer. Those were the 2. So don't understand why that occurred. I think with Schumer, he was somewhat supportive of crypto. And Josh Hawley, I get why because he's not a big tech guy, definitely does not want domination in the tech business, and I think he's been looking at that. Now we're seeing a lot more conversion, which makes this a much more bipartisan approach. Point I'm getting at is this could roll in to the next phase of crypto legislation all around the market structure. So that is what we're looking at right now. Here's Tim Scott talking about that.
I think we get to market structure very quickly. I hope to have a hearing in the next 30 to 40 days, which allows us to hopefully finish the process before August.
Gotcha. So you're not concerned that if Genius passes as a standalone bill, then market structure won't pass this year?
Not concerned at all.
Good to know.
Not concerned at all. So that's a big statement coming in from Tim Scott. And if you look at the dates on this, the bipartisan legislative framework, this is the digital asset market structure bill he's talking about, and the committee meeting he's talking about is right there, June 24th. That's on a Tuesday, so get ready for that. That, of course, is the beginning of where we'll start to see, I think, major shifts in the crypto markets, mainly through businesses and the economies of scale that are growing in crypto and blockchain will begin to come in. And what does that mean? Well, it means the United States is back in charge when it comes to digital assets. Here is Scott Bessent talking about that.
Every time there was a narrative that the U.S. was going to lose reserve currency status, why it's never happened.
Because crypto, that seems to be a threat to the dollar.
I think it's the opposite.
Oh, really?
Stable coins could reinforce dollar supremacy.
And is that why it was crucial that Donald Trump get involved in crypto rather than trying to constrain it like Joe Biden was?
I think constrain's too mild a word. I think make it extinct.
Oh.
It's one of the most important phenomena that's happening in the world, and the U.S. just ignored it. And the Senate, and this is bipartisan, there may be 16 Democrats who are going to vote with Republicans on this bill, which inclination toward crypto was there. It was just the White House, the previous administration wanted to kill it. So once we get this bill passed, the U.S., we can put our best standards and practices out to the world.
It sounds like it's just another of the messes that you've had to clean up.
There's a lot of low-hanging fruit.
Well, China banned Bitcoin, started coming at crypto very hard in 2021. And of course, the Biden administration, very interestingly, went very hard. In fact, debanked so many companies. So this, I think, is exactly what Bessent is saying, and that is we are now in a position where the U.S. dollar could actually get strengthened because of the fact that these stablecoins are backed by U.S. Treasuries, and access to the U.S. dollar now becomes much, much more efficient. So much more that we're looking back in and how even the Biden administration of lore has come back and started to attack Dems that actually voted for this. Take a look at this clip.
What we heard from President Biden's former economic advisor, Jared Bernstein, who wrote about the Genius Act, quote, "Unless you're a criminal, there are no uses for these currencies." Senator, he says if crypto disappeared tomorrow, the average person going about their business would not notice, but the politicians whose pockets they so lavishly line would notice. What does Mr. Bernstein not get about this?
You know what, at the end of the day, our constituents expect us to be able to get things done. That's ultimately what people want, is for us to make it as safe as possible, and then to give them the decision. Opening up this digital currency area is going to be very helpful to many of our businesses, and I think it's an important step forward.
Yeah, let's don't help American businesses and American people. I don't think you should do that. I mean, come on, keep those down. Go ahead and continue to put money into other countries, those kind of things. Yes, that's the exact same thing that's been happening in crypto. And in fact, we're dealing with the whole issue now of, I think now, maybe a little bit of propaganda that's trying to figure out how do we stop this going forward? How is the bad stable coin that's going to be used out there in almost every retail transaction? Here's Stellar and their CEO talking about that. Take a look.
Because I think this is where really the rubber meets the road when it comes to consumer behavior. Consumers want to do what's easy.
So I actually don't agree that there is a challenge with respect to ease of use. There was 3 to 5 years ago. There isn't today.
I just want to jump in. I know Sonali has a bunch of questions, but this sounds more difficult than swiping a card than paying the bill at the end of the month or paying whatever you can afford to pay. We want to do what's easiest as consumers. Convince me that stablecoins are the right way.
Well, I think a lot of people use their Venmo to do exactly what you just talked about. A lot of people are using PayPal to do exactly what you just talked about. And that ease of use in leveraging stablecoins there is kind of the same. I don't think the ease of use of it is going to be the challenge and the barrier to entry.
I actually have a question in the exact opposite direction. And it's, you heard us.
You're saying it's too easy, Sonali?
Well, it might be easier for big retailers, as we've been talking about, to maybe bypass the traditional financial system in some ways by going directly to stablecoin.
No doubt it's going to be easier. In fact, it's probably going to become a landslide of adoption. Once your retailer starts to offer up USDC or other stablecoins in terms of payment, it's going to give them incentives to be able to get you to pay it. And eventually, just like a rewards program or anything else you happily jump into, you're going to do the same thing when you start to say, wait a minute, I can save a little bit of money by doing it this way, and it's the same thing as a US dollar. Of course I would do that, yes. Well, JP Morgan thinks that way too. And of course, JP Morgan bringing a banking on chain. Don't get overexcited. This isn't necessarily a huge thing. This is them talking about the pilot. It's going to take a long time for them to get it going. I don't know why. This should be something that should have been in the wings for anybody that's in the financial industry. Understand, this is a new instrument. It's been in play for a while, and now we have regulation around it. So guess what? You're going to see banks versus brokerage. Here is Franklin Templeton talking about that right now. Take a look.
JP Morgan introduces USD deposit token on Coinbase's Base blockchain.
Yeah.
So how do you stay ahead?
What's interesting about the JP Morgan announcement is that a tokenized deposit, it is not really quite a stablecoin or a token. It's just creating a wrapper around your account-based structure. In a sense, this is JP Morgan protecting their banking franchise. Remember, I said the stablecoins, the money comes out of these accounts. With this tokenized deposit, this is a move by JP Morgan to try and get people to leave that money in their account, because that's how JP Morgan makes money. I just don't see tokenized deposits really having the same traction that stablecoins and tokenized money market funds are going to have.
You're going to get a chance to maybe earn a little bit more money on those dollars and now put them to work much faster. So here's a good example of what Franklin Templeton is actually doing with a new yield product. Take a look.
But this was big news. It was just released. It shows that you're ahead of the curve once again.
This is probably one of the most consequential things I've done in my entire career. A traditional money market fund, you only get to earn interest if you are a shareholder at the close of the day. If you owned that money market fund during the day and you sold it before the close, you don't get any interest for that day. So you only get paid your yield once a month. Let's say I had money market fund shares and I wanted to transfer them to you. That is a process that could literally take weeks, like literal paperwork, not even electronic paperwork. I'd have to mail it in. I'd have to wait for a response. So we are able to put the shareholder record together second by second. And therefore, if you own our money market fund for 2 hours and 36 minutes during the day, you now get that 2 hours and 36 minutes worth of yield. And if you transfer those funds to me, I get them during the day, I start earning yield the second you transfer them to me. We can pay out yield every single day, including Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. You can transfer it to me and I can transfer it to you at will, just like you would use Venmo.
Franklin Templeton proposes a XRP and Solana ETFs. That the SEC is, of course, now reviewing this. We are going to see a Solana and an XRP ETF. It's going to happen, guys. We're going to have it available to us possibly very, very soon. And if you look at the filings and you consider where Franklin Templeton is, that's 1.5 trillion. So they clearly are the largest. The fact that they're going after Solana and XRP, well, that says something. Let's take a look at DeFi Llama. You can kind of just take a look at where base is going overall. Again, up. And if you look at the use, I think, of where stablecoins are going to be, this is just the kind of thing that I think is just now beginning. Here's Unichain, which is Uniswap stablecoin usage. We're going to see more growth on that. Also take a look at Bitcoin dominance versus what's happening right here with Ethereum. A little bit of movement. Now remember, most, at least in the United States, if you think about USDC, that's an ERC20 token. We're going to see growth within the Ethereum ecosystem. It is the dominant player around stablecoins right now. It's going to get crazy. You're going to need a cheat sheet just to figure out where you can get the best yield going forward. Solana is now talking about all sorts of tokenized securities, and this framework could go into play pretty quickly. Tokenized securities, I think, also is a major, major shift into the next iteration of how stock trading is going to happen. You guys are going to see this, I think, within the year, and we're probably going to see it with Robinhood. Take a look at this clip. This is what Vlad had to say.
Join us on June 30th for Robinhood Presents To Catch a Token, which is our first ever crypto keynote, which will be live streaming from Cannes on the French Riviera. It's going to be a landmark moment for Robinhood, hopefully for the crypto industry, with some big new product announcements. We're also launching a series of rewards leading up to and through the event in case you needed a little bit more incentive to tune in.
Meaning that Robinhood's getting a little bit degenerate, I think, here for sure. Now, if you're not watching or paying attention, you should be. Arbitrum is the framework in which Robinhood is most likely going to go out with tokenized securities. You also look at this right here, Pactra also live now on Arbitrum. So, and there's a lot of cool features that are driven off of this, especially around UX and use case. This is something that, and a lot of this stuff is working in the background, guys. You won't know this if you're brand new to crypto. Don't worry about that. The key is making it easy to use and easy to onboard, because that's where the growth is going to come from. Remember, in the United States, it's still a very small percentage of the population that owns crypto or even actuates on crypto on a daily basis. So it is a big opportunity. Now, with that taking place, watch what some of the fund managers are doing. Here is Cathie Wood and Cathie's ARC. Let's take a look at what she's doing with Circle. All of this is in sell position while Circle is exploding on the charts, which is interesting. And then also she's selling Coinbase, so she's doing that. And she's also selling Robinhood, which have been good positions for her over the years. It's confusing to me. When you look at trades of Hood, here's ARC selling quite a few. And then you look at trades of Coinbase, all of this transacting at a time in which most likely these are going to explode. We already saw an immediate explosion. Is this now the gateway for a lot of people that are just now getting into crypto or even understanding what a stablecoin is, going, well, what stock can I buy? Because remember, that's a lot of people that have been investing in traditional Wall Street funds for a very long time. So why is Cathie Wood moving in that direction? Well, here's what Jesse Pollack had to say.
But then just in the fall, I took over Coinbase Wallet. We right away started a ground up rewrite of the product. We're nearing the end. It's actually in private beta right now. You know, it's a totally different, the screen can't see, but it's a totally different product. It's a social app. We have a whole video feed with like TikTok. We have mini apps where you can go and play games. Because we have stablecoins for all these different countries, including the Eurozone and Brazil and South Africa, we can make this wallet work for people everywhere in the world. Instead of Facebook or Instagram taking 95% of the value of your creativity, you're going to get that 95% of the value. It means you're going to own the relationships with your fans so you can move around and not lose access to it. And it means that you're not going to be at risk of being deplatformed. There's still only around 10 million, 20 million developers. There are hundreds of millions of creators.
But the big question is why is Wall Street exiting out of these positions? That I don't know. Cathie Wood might be unique in this scenario when we're seeing all the other companies, or quite a few other companies, moving so quickly into growth. Some of them are really kind of salivating over the opportunity around retail. We saw this week earlier with announcements with Shopify and the potential use, well, the use of stablecoins, USDC and others. Point being is that if restaurants, retail, hospitality, travel, gets into this quickly, we could see an absolute boom going forward. Here was a poll I did just yesterday on saying, who would be the first to integrate this? Would it be DoorDash, Taco Bell, Chipotle? Those are the ones I think that might be at the front of the line. DoorDash right there, leader, because DoorDash would have an effect on thousands and thousands of restaurant brands that represent millions of locations. So think about that, millions of locations, and the amount of food that is served over a period of just 30 days and how many transactions are done. You'll get the picture pretty quickly. Other things you got to look at right here is Hong Kong is now doubling down on digital assets, citing obviously stablecoin momentum. One thing that they noted here, let me kind of kill that for you, is they're going to intensify their efforts to become a major global hub. All of this is built around a surge in banking activity that is tied to the rising interest in stablecoins. So that means that we are going to continue to see Asia. I think also the EU is going to start to flank behind what's going on there. But I think where the real innovation is going to happen is right here in the United States. Key here is speed to market and who gets there first. So get ready, guys. All of this is happening right now. Hong Kong is going to plan their launch in August. This will take effect August 1st. This will only create more of a global community around what's happening in crypto as a whole. Last up, of course, if you guys are not in the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in on that. It's a great place to get more content from us. And of course, if you're not in our Telegram group, we leave a link down below, so use that. It's only one Telegram group. I'm in there every day chatting with you guys, so I love to talk with you. If you're not following me on X, do that. It's @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.